Hi everyone. I'll just give you a quick overview about who I am. So my name is Annie. As Michaela said, I'm a volunteer with Power Engineering, an organisation which tries to improve the diversity within our engineering industry by working with high schools. Outside of that life, I work currently as a consultant on the Sydney Metro, trying to get some good value for money out of that program, and been working in the engineering industry for quite a long time. So just as a bit of background about how I ended up there or why. So when I was in high school, I was one of those people who loved maths and science. I had two maths teachers as parents, so I didn't really have much of a choice but to enjoy maths too. When I got to year 12, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with maths. I didn't really know other than my two parents, like what you could actually achieve with it. So instead of doing like decent research, I did the cop-out thing and just looked to what my ATAR would get me, and ended up doing commerce. After that, I moved to Canberra to work in the federal government. Lasted about a year before realising, you know what, I need to give this a bit more thought, go back to basics, and spent a long time then doing work experience, talking to people in different industries who'd done different degrees and trying to figure out what I actually want to do with my life. As part of that, I thought about, well, what are the things I have enjoyed as part of that degree or as part of that work that I've been doing? And one of the key things for me was an internship that I did in my second year of university in HR. But it was out in WA on an oil refinery, one of BP's oil refineries. So quite different to what I was used to growing up in the centre of Melbourne. I was sent out there, saw these massive distillation towers, and working with engineers on site every day in my PPEs, my hard hat and everything. And then I went back to uni, went back to Canberra. But when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I thought, you know what, that was really cool. I got to be outside every day. I got to be part of something that was real. I could touch it, I could see some outputs. And that sort of thing really motivated me then to go back to uni, and I studied construction management and moved into the engineering industry that way. So since then, I've been working all around Australia on loads of different projects. At the moment, mainly working in infrastructure, and really enjoying being part of that same thought of, hey, these are some real projects out there that I can touch, that I can see this community impact. It's really positive to give back to those types of projects. So I haven't gone in the direct route into engineering, but the route I chose in the end was really positive one for me. So that's why I'm so passionate about power engineering and the work we do, because I just think a lot of students don't really have that exposure. They don't know what engineering is about. So we have to change that. So what actually is engineering? I think the first thing that, or at least I was thinking about engineering, and I know a lot of other people think, is just this maths and science portion of it. Like engineering is just sitting down at a computer or a calculator, typing some stuff up, working on your own, doing lots of calculations, and that's it. That's engineering. But it's not. I think if it was, not many people would be really doing it. Engineering has a load of other components as well. The design component of it is massive, and that's around using your creativity. That's around finding good solutions to problems. That's involves the collaboration component, so that's collaborating not just in teams, but across a number of different groups. So in my role, for example, I work with government, I work with our local communities, I work with architects and city planners, you work with safety people and property advisors, you work with such a different wide range of people to find the right outcome that you really can't be an engineer without some sort of skill of working with other people. You can't do it in a silo. And finally, that social impact, I think, is a really critical part of engineering. When we speak to some of the female graduates we have in engineering who volunteer with us, social impact is a really key thing for them. Being able to see the projects that you're working on and see how they impact back in your own community is such a positive thing. You think about a road, it might seem kind of boring, but what a road does is it connects communities up. It saves time for people when they're commuting so they can spend more time at home. It makes things easier for people to get around. If you think anything to technology that engineers have been involved in, that social impact is a really critical part of it, and it's very tangible. So it's a very tangible way to feel like you're giving back, if that's an important part of the career that you're looking for. This is just a bit of a summary about the state of engineering in Australia in terms of diversity. At the moment in Australia, only 12% of our engineers are female. it's pretty low. It's been quite consistent for a long period of time. But when you look at other countries, there is a bit more of a range. So Australia, while there are a lot of other countries like Australia, there are ones that are bucking the trend and becoming more equal. And for me, what that shows us is that it's not that girls don't like engineering, it's that we've created this culture where girls don't necessarily see engineering as a career that they can follow. But really, if they were pushed in that direction and shown those opportunities, maybe we can make this more equal. At the end of the day as well, our engineering industry is growing. There is a lot of demand for STEM graduates, for engineering graduates. So without ensuring that we're boosting up our engineering industry as a whole, by getting more women into that industry, we're not going to be very competitive in the future. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about home engineering and what we do. So this is our theory of change, which is essentially what we do, why we do it, and what we're hoping to get out of it. So at the beginning, we start with what we actually do. So these are our one-day workshops, our one-day events that we run. So we get about 100 female high school students. We take them into a university or a local school. We do workshops with them. They're normally run by other young female engineers, showing them what engineering can really be about, giving them an idea of the diversity with engineering in terms of the different disciplines, the different projects you can be on. We take them on site, which was a really important part for me to join this organisation, considering how much influence sites have on my experience with engineering. So we might take them on, an example in Sydney we've had recently is on the French's Forest Hospital, the Northern Beaches Hospital, when that was being completed. Some of the Sydney Metro stations, we've had students out there as well. But also in things like labs, so like Cochlear, for example, who make the hearing aids, we've gone to their labs to see what they do with engineering and how that can help. And again, that has a really strong social impact link. So from those, we hope to inspire students and change their perceptions. So instead of them thinking, oh, engineers, they sit there on that calculator typing away individually, they can see young female engineers out on site, they can see the projects we're working on, they actually can change their mind about what engineering is so that they have an idea of what that career could mean for them. And of course, understanding that social impact. So something you probably don't think about engineering that is very strong. As a result of that, what we hope to get is more girls studying STEM in year 11 and year 12. So choosing maths, choosing things like physics and chemistry, because they see a reason to continue on with that. Because if they do those subjects, then they can do engineering. And while engineering has a strong proportion of those maths and physics and things in their first year, it really reduces in the later years. But you do need those to really help you get through the door. And then finally, we have a larger engineering pipeline. So at the end of the day, we want more engineers in Australia generally, and we see there's such a big potential to get more engineers by focusing on female participation and getting more girls in there because they're so underrepresented at the moment. So after the events, we do a quick survey with our students, and we ask all the events, we ask them, have you ever considered engineering before as a career? And we get a lot of no's. We don't ask teachers when they bring students along to get the ones who love engineering already and really want to do it. We ask for just students who may like maths and science but don't really know what they want to do. So out of all the students who say no, they would never consider engineering at the beginning of the event, we get about 80% of them coming back at the end of the event and saying, you know what, I probably would consider this. It doesn't mean they definitely will do it. But what it means for us is that they change their perception of what an engineer is. They can now talk about engineering in a way that's accurate and positive. It might mean that they go on in year 11, year 12 to choose those STEM subjects instead. So even if they don't go down the engineering path, we are hopefully opening up that pipeline to STEM for them. We also have some stats around our long-term impact. So one example we like is a school up in Queensland, which is where the organisation started. For 2 years in a row, they brought a class of girls along to our events. And in the following year, when those girls turned to year 11, in their physics class, they doubled the number of students taking physics, and that was just due to the number of girls then suddenly showing up. So they had a 50-50 split of girls and boys in that class, so great for diversity, but also just more students doing physics, which was really good. Then in the third year, there was a conflict clash. They couldn't make the event. Those students didn't get to participate in the event. And in that year 11 class, when they turned into year 11, they lost all of their female participation in physics, and they went back to just having a purely male class and a much smaller class of year 11 studying physics. So it just shows you potentially that initial exposure to engineering, how important that can be. Finally, I just wanted to touch on the Engineering in a Box project. So this is the project that I'm running this year with the organisation. Essentially, what we want to do is get to more students. So the events we do at the moment are very in person. They involve a lot of volunteers, and we can't get everywhere. We can't get to all the regional areas we want to get to. So what we're doing here is we're turning our event into something that could be run in a classroom. So a teacher can get this box delivered to them. It includes all of their materials, run through 4 lessons. You're basically following a project end to end. It's not about designing like a bridge out of spaghetti or a windmill or anything like that. It's about learning to understand your stakeholders and different needs, understand what different projects and the outcomes that they can have, and how you work with different engineering disciplines, and the different soft skills required for engineering, like presentation skills, like collaboration skills, things like that. We're doing a pilot at the end of this year in term 4, and then we'll have a full rollout in 2020. It's all completely free for schools. So if you are interested, there's a link on our website, just Power Engineering, easy to search. Otherwise, the direct links on there, and I think this presentation will be up on the website as well afterwards if you're interested. So I'm going to talk a bit about the future of engineering, so technology and how that impacts engineering. And I think thinking about this for me, it's not just that technology and the changes are impacting the engineering industry, it's that engineering is so critical to a lot of that technology that is happening at the moment. When we think about different technologies that are occurring at the moment and the way things are changing, engineers are involved in all of these in different capacities. One example that I like around the 3D printing one is one of our power engineering partners, and what they do is they print 3D printed prosthetic arms for kids. So kids grow up, they get bigger, so having a full prosthetic arm continuously made them is very expensive. But doing that by 3D printing, you can actually keep up with their growth and make it a bit more cost effective for those children. So that's a fantastic way that engineering is being impacting socially. It's also using those technologies and as being one of the reasons why these things are being pushed forward to the benefit of those children that really need it. Virtual reality is another one where engineers are involved in the design of that as part of software engineering. But also if you go into look at a building that's being built by a group of civil or structural engineers, they often have a virtual reality room. You go in, you put your glasses on, and you can walk around what they're doing. And as well as that just being quite cool, the benefit of that is really seeing how these pieces fit together. So different people, different community groups can do that and give feedback on what that's going to look like. So at the end of the day, our designs are better because we have this technology that we can use, which saves time, gets better resolved, better value for money. So it's all very positive the way that these technologies are impacting what engineers can do. In general, there is a big shift towards how engineering is being run. So instead of things that are probably very restrictive, so having manual tasks, working in silos, being centralised, things that make it not hard to do your job, but take more time doing the more technical parts of your job by freeing yourself up by working, using automation, being able to do complex simulations, working predictively instead of reactively. That frees up engineers to spend more time doing the problem solving, doing things where they're really adding value, not just sitting there typing and trying to get the basics done right. The basics are already going to be there. They're now spending more time doing stuff that it requires a bit more complex thought. It's a bit more interesting for one, but it also gives a better result at the end of the day. I think we've touched on a few of these, the key skills that we are looking for. We do still have our science and maths up there. They are, of course, the foundation in engineering, but you also need those other ones. You need creativity. You need to be innovative, particularly with the way technology is changing the industry. There's constant growth, constant change. That I'm working on Sydney Metro at the moment, a government project, which is always prone to lots of change, lots of, depending on who, the process at the current time. Problem solving is essentially what engineers just do, but they do it trying to get either a practical physical result, if you look at like structural engineering or mechanical engineering, or a software result going down the software engineering path. There's a few different pathways to get there. So the most obvious one, of course, is just a Bachelor of Engineering straight out of university. They're all around the country. There's a lot of scholarships available, particularly for girls getting into engineering and into certain disciplines within engineering. We do have a lot of good successful engineers that come through other routes. So doing a diploma at TAFE, maybe they haven't got the right ATAR to get into one of their local universities, but then converting that into a bachelor's, taking an extra year to do it. One of the presenters that we have at Crowd Engineering, she's now an engineer with Qantas. I think she's now starting to be a pilot because she's insane. But she came down that path, so it just shows the different potential that you can have just because you've had to go that diploma route first. Doesn't mean you don't have those doors open to you later on. The cadetship one's there as well. I know a lot of other industries have them too, but a lot of bigger engineering firms run these where you can work while you study, which I think is a great way to stay interested, because you can actually see the real things. You're not just doing a theory continuously for 4 years. So there are also great opportunities out there. These agenda stats for Australia. I think in Sydney, because we have so much growth going on in the moment, in a lot of our different disciplines, you will get slightly higher than these averages in Sydney. But really great starting salary for graduates, great potential throughout there, and the fact that male and female graduates, there is a very minor, if any, gender pay gap within them is another really good positive. A lot of companies as well are really, especially engineering companies, are doing a lot to attract more women into their workforces because they recognise that they're not very diverse. So there's a lot of great opportunities there for girls that do choose this path. And then also the employment rate after graduating, another one that's very great for engineering. It does vary depending on the discipline. Things like civil engineering, structural engineering is a bit higher than that. Ones like aerospace engineering, because they're so competitive, are a little bit lower. But in general, you're still seeing very high employment rates after graduation. And this is just a list of many different engineering disciplines. There's a lot of variety in there, and a lot of what we do at Have Engineering is to try and show that engineering isn't just building a road, building a bridge. It's not just the civil component. You've got agricultural engineering, medical engineering, which the 3D printed hand, prosthetic arm would fall under. Software and computer engineering, ones that don't necessarily have those physical outputs. Got marine, environmental, fire engineering, things that are very specific but very applicable to so many different projects we have at the moment, or robotics engineering, so going directly into that technological growth. So there's a lot of different engineering disciplines out there. Students don't necessarily have to choose one straight away. Some universities offer a much broader first year, and then you specify or down into one of them. But there's a lot of choice out there, and that's, I think, the big message we want to have across, that engineering is not just one thing. There's lots of different experiences there, and it's not just city-based. A lot of these are also applicable to regional areas. There's a lot of opportunity to move around Australia, move around internationally with engineering. So where can you go for more info? So I've just put my email here, the inner box, but I'm also on the website as well. Our president is Ashley, spoke at the Brisbane event yesterday. She's just president at Power Engineering. Feel free to send us an email if you want to know a bit more about the organisation and how to get your schools involved. And we've also just listed a few of the places that we normally send teachers if they're looking for more information and we can't help them out straight away. So local universities is a big one. They run so many programs and camps and things like that, mainly targeted at year 11 to 12, but there are a lot of things out there. Star Portal is a really great resource as well for STEM programs around Australia. So Power Engineering always have our events up on that too. And you can sort by different types of, like what type of STEM, free events, what year group, that sort of thing. Engineers Australia is the professional association of engineering in Australia, and they have different portals for students and for teachers to get more information too. And I think they have a lot of webinars and downloadable information, things like that. And Careers for STEM is also a really good resource as well, and they do have engineering. Within that, and it can show you those other pathways to get into engineering too that aren't just your traditional bachelor degree. Yeah. That's everything I had. Are there any questions on?
Should the maths be a mandated subject for the actual system?
I don't know if I can answer that. I think personally, I think there's a lot of benefit to carrying on with some sort of maths. I think not just for engineering, but there's so many other things that you can get out or get into if you're studying maths at a high level. I think, to be honest, the rate that we have in Australia at the moment of students continuing on to maths is pretty dismal. But I don't know if mandating it would really help.
A lot of the discussion here has been about the importance of maths for STEM and like general. So surely it makes sense, and also potentially feed more people into STEM careers.
Yeah.
We had the chief scientist present a couple of years ago in Adelaide, and he made a really good point. He said, I'd like to see the standard arts degree when I don't know what I want to do, to be the standard science degree when I don't know what I want to do. He's like, I'd like to see that happen. So I thought that was a really interesting comment to make. Any other questions?
So Annie, Power Engineering, is that a member-based organisation? Do you have members like Engineers Australia have in September, and they come along to our events and things?
So it is a membership organisation, but essentially our volunteers are our members.
Yeah.
It's not a fee-based thing or anything like that. It's funded through government grants and through industry partnerships. Our members are basically the volunteers who tend to be engineers in their first, either at university or in their first few years of their career, and then they're the ones that come along to our events and run those.
Any other questions? Great, thank you very much.